What's the new film about that comes out in April?
Yeah, it's a kind of an interesting film. It's called Conversation. It's a film about the invasion of privacy and loneliness and kind of what happens to people who steep their lives in nefarious acts.
Gene Hackman's estate battle has taken a shocking turn. His children anticipated a huge inheritance, but a secret heir to his $80 million fortune has surfaced, leaving them in disbelief. Who is this unexpected beneficiary, and why was Hackman's wealth concealed? The mystery surrounding his estate raises countless questions. Was this planned, or is there more to the story? Find out the truth behind this stunning revelation. Hollywood royalty with a private life. Gene Hackman was a Hollywood giant, not just an actor. He ruled the big screen for 50 years with great performances that made the best actors of all time respect him a lot. In 1971, he made a big break when he played the relentless detective Popeye Doyle in The French Connection. He became known as one of Hollywood's best actors for the role, and it earned him an Academy Award for Best Actor. His job went through the roof after that. He played many different roles, and each one had realism, subtlety, and intensity. Later in 1992, he won his second Oscar. This time it was for Best Supporting Actor in Unforgotten, a violent western that showed how well he could play tough, morally questionable characters. Hackman never stuck to one type of role. He naturally drew people in, whether he was playing a bad guy, a good guy, or someone in between. There were not many interviews with him, and he chose to stay out of the public eye when he wasn't working. As other people looked for attention, Hackman wanted to focus on his work, excel, and then the next project. Even though his career was going well, his personal life was much more complicated. He married Faye Maltese in 1956 and had 3 children with her, Leslie, Elizabeth, and Christopher. Hackman was one of the most sought-after performers of his time, though, so he was often away from home. Long months of filming, a lot of travel, and the pressures of Hollywood hurt his marriage and family ties. Hackman's career took off, and he spent even less time at home. His kids mostly grew up out of sight from the public. Hackman and Maltese got a divorce in 1986 after being married for 30 years. Many people thought that the time he spent on his career had caused a rift between him and his children because he rarely talked about his personal life. His kids never wanted to be famous or in the spotlight like other famous kids did. This only led to more rumors about how they really felt about their father. Was he a distant, emotionally distant parent? Did Hollywood create an irreparable divide between them? Hackman never addressed these questions, and his children remained silent. Their privacy only made the mystery grow. By the early 2000s, Hackman had achieved everything an actor could dream of. There was nothing left to prove. Then in 2004, he made a decision that shocked the entertainment industry. He quietly retired from acting without a farewell tour, a final performance, or any grand announcement. Many actors retire only to return a few years later, but Hackman never did. He completely walked away from Hollywood and settled in Santa Fe, New Mexico with his second wife, classical pianist Betsy Arakawa. They had been together since the late 1980s, and despite their 30-year age difference, their bond remained strong and private. Hackman was done with acting and content with his new life. In his retirement, Hackman found other passions. He co-wrote several historical fiction novels, allowing him to continue storytelling on his own terms. He also embraced a quieter life filled with painting, cycling, and appreciating the natural beauty of New Mexico. For years, fans and directors hoped he would return for one last role. Offers came in, but Hackman never wavered. He had already built a legacy that would stand the test of time. He did not need a final performance. His body of work spoke for itself. Hollywood was stunned when Hackman's lawyer revealed his $80 million fortune wasn't going to his kids, so who took it all? Hackman's death and the legal shockwave. The entertainment business was shocked when Gene Hackman died in February 2025. At 94 years old, he had been out of the public eye for decades, but his impact on film was clear. His fans who grew up seeing him in great movies like The French Connection and Unforgiven were heartbroken. Still, his death was different from most. Hackman and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, were found dead in their Santa Fe home. Right away, rumors began to spread. What took place? Was it just getting older, or was there something more sinister going on? The government said their deaths were suspicious, but they didn't say how they died. Since no clear cause of death was given, theories only grew stronger. Could it have been a terrible accident, a break-in at home? He didn't have any major health problems, recent scandals, or major conflicts with those who knew him. The world was mourning one of Hollywood's finest actors, but an even bigger shock was about to unfold. And it had nothing to do with his movies. It was all about his fortune. In the days following Hackman's death, another bombshell dropped, this time from his longtime lawyer. The legal world had been preparing for the division of his vast estate with an estimated net worth of $80 million. Given his success, few expected surprises. It seemed obvious his wealth would be split between his 3 children, Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie. That's how it usually worked. But not this time. When the lawyer finally read the will, jaws dropped. Not a single penny was left to his children. Instead, a mysterious heir was named as the sole beneficiary of his fortune. The press went into a frenzy. Who was this person? Why would Hackman cut out his own children? Was this a last-minute change? Had someone influenced him in his final years? Legal experts weighed in, suggesting that such a drastic decision was highly unusual. If Hackman had been in poor health, someone might have pressured him into altering his will, but since he had been living a quiet, controlled life, that theory didn't quite add up. More questions followed. How long had this version of the will existed? Had Hackman ever discussed these plans with anyone? Or had he taken his secret to the grave, leaving his family to pick up the pieces? One thing was clear, this was no ordinary inheritance dispute. For Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie, the shock was unbearable. Their father had never been the most hands-on parent, but they still expected some inheritance, at the very least a portion of the fortune. Instead, they got nothing. Imagine the betrayal, years of watching their father dominate Hollywood, earning millions, only to be completely erased from his legacy. They hadn't just lost their father, they'd been denied any part of his empire. With emotions running high, the 3 siblings quickly turned to the legal system. They immediately challenged the will, hiring top attorneys to investigate its legitimacy. Was it signed under duress? Had Hackman been of sound mind when he made the change? Could they prove undue influence? These were the questions their legal team needed to answer. Court battles over celebrity estates are nothing new, but this one had the potential to get ugly. If Hackman's final was held up, his children would walk away with nothing, but if they could find any legal loophole, they had a chance to claim what they believed was rightfully theirs. The media followed every development. Experts debate the case on talk shows, speculating on the mysterious heir's identity. Was it a longtime friend, a hidden relative, someone completely unexpected? The lack of answers only fueled public curiosity. As days turned into weeks, the battle over Hackman's estate was only getting started. The truth behind his final decision, and whether his children would ever see a dime of his fortune, remained a mystery. Who is the secret heir? His entire $80 million fortune wasn't going to his children. Instead, the name of a completely unexpected heir was revealed, someone no one saw coming. Who was this person? How did they come into Hackman's life? And why did he choose them over his own children? For decades, Hackman's family and close friends assumed his fortune would pass to his 3 children, Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie. Even though his relationship with them had been distant at times, there was never any doubt that they would inherit the bulk of his estate. But when the will was made public, the truth was far more complicated. The listed heir wasn't any of his children. It wasn't even his late wife, Betsy Arakawa, who had passed away alongside him. Instead, the documents named an individual no one recognized. How could their father, a man they had known their whole lives, leave everything to a stranger? Was this an error, a misunderstanding, or had their father been hiding a part of his life from them? As the news spread, theories exploded. Some believed the heir could be an illegitimate child, someone Hackman had fathered in secret and quietly supported for years. Others suggested the person might be a distant relative, possibly from a branch of the family long forgotten. But then wilder theories emerged. Could the heir be a close friend, a longtime confidant, perhaps an old colleague from Hollywood, someone Hackman had trusted more than his own children? One particularly shocking rumor suggested that Hackman, who had spent years writing novels in his later life, had formed a deep mentorship with a young writer. Could he have left his fortune to an unknown protege, someone he believed truly understood his vision and values? While some of these ideas seemed far-fetched, they all had one thing in common. There was no clear answer. The legal documents offered no background on the person, just a name, and that name meant nothing to the family, the lawyers, or even Hackman's closest associates. Then a new piece of evidence surfaced, one that hinted at a deeper secret Hackman had been keeping for years. Just when it seemed like the truth would remain buried, financial records provided a critical clue. In the last decade of his life, Hackman had been quietly moving large sums of money into unknown accounts. These weren't small transactions, some were worth millions, and they weren't linked to his known assets. Instead, they were placed in hidden trusts, offshore holdings, and private investments. Even more puzzling, Hackman had secretly purchased multiple properties under different names. Some of these homes were located in remote areas, far from Hollywood and his public life. The question was, why? Investigators and financial experts began digging deeper. Some believed these transactions pointed directly to the unknown heir. The pattern suggested careful planning, as if Hackman had been providing for this person long before his death. Could it be that Hackman had been financially supporting someone in secret? Had he been preparing for this exact moment, ensuring that this heir, whoever they were, would be taken care of after he was gone? And if so, why had he never told his children or the public? Gene Hackman's children refused to back down. Can they overturn the will and reclaim the $80 million fortune they thought was theirs? Hackman's children fight back. The news of Gene Hackman's unexpected heir sent shockwaves through his family, but his children weren't going to accept it without a fight. How could their father, a man they had known their whole lives, leave everything to a complete stranger? They had questions and they wanted answers. Their grief quickly turned into determination. They refused to sit back and watch their inheritance slip away without challenging it. And so the battle for Hackman's $80 million fortune officially began. Hackman's 3 children, Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie, wasted no time. Within days of the will's reading, they hired a team of elite estate lawyers to challenge it. Their goal was simple: prove that the will was invalid, manipulated, or created under suspicious circumstances. The first claim was that Hackman had been influenced in his final years. At 94 years old, he was elderly and possibly vulnerable to outside persuasion. Has someone taken advantage of him? Had he been pressured into changing his will? Then came the question of authenticity. Was this truly Hackman's final will? If so, when was it signed? Could it have been forged or altered? With millions at stake, they were prepared to question everything. As the legal fight escalated, the pressure landed squarely on one person, the executor of Hackman's estate. This was the individual responsible for ensuring Hackman's final wishes were carried out. But now that responsibility came with a heavy burden. The executor had 2 choices: follow the will exactly as written, or allow the case to be reviewed and potentially overturned. Either decision would come with major consequences. If they honored the will, Hackman's children would fight relentlessly to overturn it. If they sided with the family, the mysterious heir could take legal action. No matter what, the case was heading toward a high-stakes courtroom showdown. The legal team representing the unknown heir was equally prepared. They argued that the will was legally sound, properly signed, and reflected Hackman's true desires. In their view, there was no case to challenge. Hackman had made his decision, and the world had to accept it. Did Hackman have a secret grudge, a hidden promise, or a shocking plan for his fortune? The truth is finally coming out. Why did Hackman hide his fortune? One possibility is that Hackman made a personal promise to someone outside his family because over his long career he built close relationships with directors, co-stars, and even staff who worked behind the scenes. Could he have secretly pledged his fortune to someone who meant a great deal to him? He wasn't one for public charity, but those close to him knew he had a generous heart. If he made a private arrangement to support a longtime friend, an employee, or even a struggling artist, it might explain the secret heir. There are also whispers about a hidden business partnership. Hackman invested in real estate, and some say he had silent deals that never made headlines. Could he have promised his wealth to a partner who helped him grow his fortune? If so, his children were never meant to be part of that equation. Not all families get along. Hackman's relationships with his children were complicated. As his career took off, his personal life suffered, his first marriage crumbled, and the bond with his kids weakened. Some sources suggest they were never as close as they once were. Was this Hackman's way of getting the last word? Cutting them out of his will might have been a message, one final statement of how he truly felt. Some wealthy parents have done this before, believing their children didn't deserve their fortune. Did Hackman feel the same way? It's also possible that something happened in his final years that pushed him further from his kids. A disagreement, a betrayal, or even a long-standing resentment that never healed. If Hackman felt abandoned or unappreciated, leaving them out of the will could have been his way of settling the score. Another shocking theory, Hackman may have decided to give it all away to a cause, a foundation, or even a total stranger. He spent his later years in quiet retirement, focusing on writing and staying out of the public eye. Some believe he wanted his legacy to be about more than just money. What if he planned to donate his fortune to a charity he deeply cared about? There's precedent for this. Many celebrities like Paul Newman and Mackenzie Scott have left behind massive fortunes for philanthropic efforts. If Hackman decided to use his wealth to make a lasting impact, it would explain why his children were left with nothing. Hidden documents and undisclosed transfers hint that large sums of money may have been quietly funneled into unknown accounts before his death. Were these donations, or was Hackman setting up something far bigger that no one saw coming? Hackman's second wife, Betsy Arakawa, was his closest companion for over 30 years. She knew everything about his life, his finances, and his final wishes. Some believe she was the missing piece in this puzzle. Did she help arrange the secret fortune transfer? Was she the one who convinced Hackman to change his will, or was she just as shocked as everyone else? If she was involved, it could mean the mysterious heir was someone she knew well, perhaps a mutual friend, a godchild, or someone Hackman and Arakawa quietly supported for years. If she wasn't involved, then even she may have been blindsided by her husband's hidden financial moves. The fight for $80 million. With his will leaving everything to an unknown heir, the battle over his estate is just beginning. His children, blindsided by this decision, have vowed to challenge it. On the other side, the mysterious beneficiary stands to inherit millions, but only if the will holds up in court. Wills are generally considered final, and courts rarely override them unless there is clear evidence of wrongdoing. If Hackman had taken the proper legal steps, had witnesses, and hadn't been under any form of pressure or its manipulation, his wishes would have been honored. However, if the heir is a total outsider, someone with no known connection to Hackman, it could raise suspicion. Inheritance cases involving unexpected beneficiaries often lead to questions about undue influence, mental capacity, or even fraud. Did Hackman willingly leave everything to this person, or was he misled? Their legal team will likely argue that their father was manipulated or that the will does not reflect his true intentions. They may even question its authenticity. If they succeed, the court could invalidate the will, meaning Hackman's estate would be divided according to standard inheritance laws. In that case, Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie could reclaim what they believe should have been theirs all along. However, proving undue influence or fraud is never easy. Without hard evidence, the case could drag on for years. A deal could be struck behind closed doors where Hackman's children receive a portion of the fortune in exchange for dropping the case. Hackman's will has not only shocked his family, but also his fans. People are divided on whether he was right to leave his children out. Some argue that Hackman had every right to do whatever he wanted with his money. They believe inheritance is not an automatic right, and that perhaps he had his reasons for excluding his children. And maybe he wanted to support a cause he believed in or reward someone who was loyal to him in his final years. On the other hand, many believe his children deserved at least a share of his estate. They argue that no matter the circumstances, completely cutting off one's children from an inheritance is an extreme move. Some even suspect foul play, questioning whether Hackman was coerced into making such a drastic decision. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Click on the next video popping up on your screen for more amazing content.